The 2015 Women's Fastpitch kicks off at Softball City, and Mark Smith, the head coach. Mark, what should we be looking for going into this year's event?
Well, it looks like they've got a great lineup of teams. There's 9 in the international division. We've got, I think, 4 of them that are heading from here to Toronto for the Pan American Games, which means people are using this event to sort of fine-tune for the major event of the summer for our teams. And for those teams that aren't going to the Pan Ams, you've still got some pretty good quality of competition here. So I think it should be one of the more competitive Canadian Opens we've had in recent years.
This isn't your first dance with the team. You've been around a little bit of time. What's it like being the head coach?
Well, they make it pretty easy. We've got a really good bunch of athletes that are bought into the approach we take and the things we hope to accomplish. And, we're together. We were just commenting on the way here. We're together for 6 or 7 weeks of summer, and it's a short period of time to pack a lot of information in. But because they're very coachable, because they want to do well, and therefore we're all pulling in the same direction, it makes my job pretty simple.
What is the one thing that you really look for as a coach in the players when you're looking, because there's so many young women out there that play the game at different levels, different parks throughout Canada, fields, diamonds, wherever they go, and they want to aspire to come out here and be one of the players. What do you look for?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's about a work ethic. We hold camps across the country that are walk-ons, so anybody that wants to take their crack at things can come out and do it. And from a coaching perspective, we look for the kids that work hard, have strong work ethics. We do our best to find out from coaches in the area that they come from, what type of athlete they are, what type of character they have, how hard do they work, are they coachable, what do they aspire to do in the game, those sorts of things. And that's sort of a bit of a starting point. But it's not hard to pick out the kids that want it more than most. They're the ones that are first there, last to leave. They ask lots of questions, and that tends to be something that characterizes who they are on and off the field. So that's a big part of it. And if you're working hard at your game, chances are good things happen if you've got some skill.
You talk about working with the different associations. You must work very close with different provincial organizations as well.
We do our best to connect as best we can, and for a number of reasons. One, because the better the job that happens at a provincial and a club level, then the more developed athlete we see at the national team level. And if I go back 7 years to when I first took the position, there were some huge gaps in development, and that's not anybody's fault. It's just the way it was. And so we really took the approach that we were going to engage with the provincial associations. When we have camps, we invite the provincial coaches to come out to our camps, and we talk about philosophically what we're trying to accomplish, and we try to give them some things that they can consider incorporating into their own programs. And what we've found over the last 5-6 years is that because they now know what the national team looks for, how we test kids, the kinds of skill sets we look for, we're getting an athlete that's a little more prepared to make that next step when they arrive at a camp. And that's a testament to them being open to it and us building a relationship across the country where we're starting to see some of those things happen.
Did you have a lot of changes from last year going into this year's team?
We've got a few. Every year there seems to be a body or two where plus or minus, but we're getting to the place now where we know what we have year in and year out. There's always going to be a little tweaking that takes place, but we kind of know year in to year out who we're going to be in the outfield, what we're going to have in the circle, what type of offense we're going to have. And 2 years ago, after the 2012 World Championships, we saw 3 or 4 retirements, and some young people stepped in and have continued to get better, and now they've earned starting roles. So we're kind of in that next evolution with enough of the older guard still around to provide the leadership and help us out when the big situations arise until the younger kids are ready to step in. But we like where the team is going. It's everybody's contributing from 1 through 9. The bench are good, and this week will be another opportunity to take that a few steps ahead.
One team that's missing this year is U.S. They're not here. You have Cuba. Missing the United States, but having Cuba, how does that play into your game plan?
Well, the U.S. are the U.S. I mean, they play well wherever they go. They've got the depth of field with players. We played them last week at their event. We'll see them at the Pan Ams. So anytime they're in a competition, there's somebody that you're going to mark the calendar. You're going to have to play well that night, as with Japan. But the truth of the matter is, Cuba are a top 5 country in the world. They're a very veteran team. They've got their core has been together for as long as I've been in this position, which is going into my 7th summer. So you know what you're getting with them. They're hard-nosed. They play the game hard. I think the fans will be pleasantly surprised by what they see from Cuba.
Yeah, a lot of people they're sort of skeptical as to what Cuba's going to bring, because I guess they figure, well, it's a smaller country, it's a smaller nation. They might not have that solid of a team. But you look at what I don't know, let's go Australia. They've always had a powerhouse.
Well, and if you look at Cuban baseball, I mean,
Yes,
they put an awful lot of bodies in the major leagues, and the girls learn from the baseball side of things, and their coaching staff are all former baseball people, so they can play the game. Defensively, they're strong. They've got a few girls in the middle that throw the ball well. They battle at the plate. They've got some hitters that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, so Cuba will be a very, very dominant team in this competition. I'll be surprised if they're not.
The one thing that's always interesting, and you look at the resumes from all the young ladies playing the game, is that they've all got very high scholastic marks and standings. They've all gone to university. They all go the NCAA route, university, college. And that's the thing that some of the young players today just think, well, I can play sports and forget about the school. You need the schooling.
Well, you know, the reality of it is that finishing school for a lot of our kids is NCAA, whether that's Division 1, 2, or 3, and we really don't discriminate one way or the other. There's a mindset out there that sometimes thinks if I'm not a D1 player, the national team won't look at me, but I can tell you that there's more women that have been on this program that are former D2 players and D3 players than there are Division 1 players. So for us, if you've made that commitment to playing the game at that level and improving your skills, then that's good enough. And it tends to be the case that the high achievers are the high achievers, whether it's in the classroom or on the ball field, and that speaks to their work ethic and it speaks to their character, and you can never have enough of those people.
And the one thing I love about the young ladies playing the game is that they give back to the community. As they go back home, they work different clinics, and they're so heavily involved with it, which obviously helps the program grow.
It does. I mean, we do a clinic here each year. We will again on Thursday morning. We do clinics pretty much in every community where we are involved. Folks in Cloverdale have hosted us the last 4 years at their facilities, and we've done clinics and given back where we can there. And then we also have 3-4 women on our team now that are NCAA coaches. So they're learning the trade themselves as they continue to develop their skills as players. So there's give backs in lots of ways, and it's just another way for them to be reminded of how fortunate they are and the difference that somebody at some point in time in their lives made to them.
When you reflect back your time with the team and coming out to Softball City, remember your first moments when you stepped on the diamond at Softball City saying, wow, this is something completely new to me?
Well, it was new to me in many respects because I'd not coached women before, and coming from the men's game and almost 30 years of playing and coaching, it was a brand new animal to me. And you know, we don't have a men's tournament in Canada that's where the athletes are looked after quite the way the Canadian Open folks have. And as saying to somebody a few minutes ago, this is kind of home base for us. You know, every year we know for 10 days we're going to be in the area, we're going to play at that field, we're going to be well supported by fans, well supported by the organizing committee, and you know, the real excitement is that, you know, in 12 months' time we're going to do that at a World Championship here, and very much feel like we have a home field advantage because this is home. So, but Softball City's provided lots of thrills for me. I mean, the first year I coached the team, we went to the gold medal and we were within 3 outs of beating the Americans. And last year, finally, we did beat the Americans. I think it was the first time in 21 years that Canada has beaten them in this event. So there's a few of them, but just watching our team grow and mature over the last 7 years has been exciting for me and our staff, and the people that you meet along the way, of course, that always make the journey more enjoyable.
All right, so lastly, because I know you're a busy man, you want to get a diamond, throw the ball around, put the girls through their paces and all that. Tell everybody why they should come out and support Team Canada for this major event.
Well, I think it's supporting softball. You know, I look at what they have here in the Lower Mainland and in the province itself with women's fast pitch, and British Columbia does a good job of that. And if you're a fan of the sport, if you're a fan of women's fast pitch, I mean, I've always been envious of the level of visibility that the women's soccer team has been getting, and nothing against them. I'm as proud as the next person, but you know, we're not a bad product either. You know, we've been 4th, 3rd in the world for the last 7 years, and yet we don't get nearly the visibility, nearly the recognition, and yet we have some of the finest women's softball athletes in the world in this province, on this team and in this country, and they deserve to be equally supported.
No kidding, couldn't said it any better. Thanks very much, Mark.
You're
Good luck
welcome.
in the week, and we'll talk to you later on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.